Welcome back. She is a world-renowned expert on bullying, and this is her most recent book. It's called The Bully, the Bullied, and the Not-So-Innocent Bystander. There it is. Barbara Coloroso, welcome to our show, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Susan. It's really a joy.
Yes, you have spoken all over the world on this topic.
Yes, it's happening all over the world. It's even though it's not normal, natural, or necessary, it is something that is happening at all ages, from preschoolers through high schoolers and beyond. I just recently worked at a senior center where one of the women, the head bully, managed to get all of the other bridge women to ostracize a new woman. And it was like middle school all over, you know, so it's here.
When we think of bullying, I think from my news background, I think of kids, but as you mentioned, it can be seniors, it can be in the workplace, and most interestingly, of course, now in the last decade plus, online and the merging from online and offline. Can we talk about that?
Yes, we used to say the real world and the online world, but it's the real world is the online-offline merged for our young people today. I'm 67, so I'm a digital immigrant, new to it. When it was first introduced. My children, who are in their 30s, are digital natives. They translated it for us. But the young people today are masters. However, we still need to teach them how to be digitally savvy, digitally civil, and digitally safe. So we have a very important role to play, which means I have to get up to speed on all of this, as you do, as a parent, because it's happening to them. And I'm often asked, is bullying, is it getting better or worse now that we have this awareness? We have a tremendous awareness, but it's a complicated answer to the question because it's not yes, no. In my day, hazing was seen as the norm. You were supposed to put up with verbal taunting. We now recognize that those are very serious things to happen to a child. And they're nothing like conflict, which is normal, natural, and necessary. But our young people don't get to escape it. It's online, and the online offline have merged, where they are 24/7, can be targeted by people they don't even know. And they can be shamed, as you had instances in this province with Amanda Todd killing herself, not being believed, when indeed it was a predator, an older man, not the 16-year-old she thought she was corresponding with. We have revenge porn, which is something most of us never thought about. And it's facing our 12, 13, 14-year-olds now.
So as parents, we need to become understanding and literate of what's going on in order to recognize it and help our kids if they're in a situation.
Yes, and being open to them so they know they can come to us. Kids need to feel they can tell us about the good, bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. I want to teach kids how to use media, because it's here. Use it for good and not be used by it. And that takes a lot of work. It's not just something that will happen. I have 3 grandchildren, and my middle daughter came to me and said, "Mom, why did you give the 4-year-old your password to your iPhone?" And I said, "I didn't." And I said to Chance, "How did you get my password?" And he said, "I watched you, Grandma." You know how we're warned about the ATMs when we're getting money out to cover it? Nobody told us we have to cover our iPhones with a 4-year-old around. He'd slide to Netflix and he'd get Dinosaur Train season 1, episode 6, and he didn't read yet. I mean, they are masters at it.
Yes.
But he still needs to learn to be savvy, civil, and safe.
Okay. What are the main messages in this book that you want people to know that are in this book if they're interested in picking up a copy?
The first thing is that bullying is not normal, natural, or necessary. It's a learned behavior. So I ask parents, how do you treat hired help? How do you treat somebody moving through the grocery store a little slower than you'd like them to? How do you treat the new neighbor? And how do you treat the bigoted relative at the family gathering when they're spewing racist and sexist comments thinly disguised as jokes? Can your children hear you saying, "I'm bothered by that"? Because what we want to do when the high-status social bully says to all the other girls, "I don't like the new girl. You want to be in my group? Don't eat lunch with her." I want your daughter to be the one to say, "Well, that's mean," and have the courage to go sit next to the new girl. But she won't know to do that unless we've raised her to believe that that other human being matters, that we have agency in our lives, and that we're capable of having our relatives say, "Well, can't you take a joke?" Not that kind. And we're willing to step in. And when our sons their friends say, look at that kid over there, different skin color, religion, gender, physical or mental ability. Let's go mess him up. I want your son to be the one to say no. Because there are three characters in this horrible tragedy: the bully, the bullied, and the not so innocent bystanders. William Burroughs said it so beautifully. There are no innocent bystanders. What were they doing there in the first place? But I want to raise a fourth character, the brave-hearted kid that's the witness, resistor, and defender that sits next to that new girl, invites the new boy for lunch, sees somebody targeted, and is willing to step in from 5 years old through the adult years.
You touched on it a bit, but how do girls in grade school differ from boys in grade school as to how they bully?
Well, from grade school all the way up, verbal bullying is the kind boys and girls do equally well. Sticks and stones may break my bones, words will never hurt me is a lie. It's step one of the dehumanization of another human being. When I call you a gross sexual term or gross ethnic term, I'm putting you outside my circle of caring and making you into an it. And once you're an it to me, I can do anything to you and not feel any shame or compassion. Boys go from verbal bullying typically to physical bullying. But very few boys resort to the physical bullying. They threaten, but that's verbal bullying, and they fight, but that's not even bullying. But girls tend not to use physical bullying because they have in their social arsenal something far more powerful: relational bullying, shunning, rumor, gossip, and exclusion. And it's high time we saw that for the deadliness that it is. Many young boys and girls will come to me and say, I wish they'd just hit me, because shunning and verbal abuse have tremendous impact on your sense of self, your sense of dignity and worth.
Fantastic. Wow, you have a lot of information, and we're having to cram this into such a small amount of time. However, you are going to be speaking tonight, and we have this up on the screen now, tonight at 7 o'clock at the Calvary Community Church, and people can get in for $15. I understand you will be selling this book at your presentation. And what form does this presentation take?
It's a 2-hour lecture, combination of stand-up comedy and seriousness, because we have to treat this issue that impacts all of us with seriousness, but also with levity. And it's for a wonderful cause. It's the Grandmothers of Kamloops give all of their money to the Stephen Lewis Foundation that's raised for this, and that goes directly to the grandmothers in Africa who are raising orphans from the AIDS epidemic. So it's a great cause, and I think you'll find it a very valuable, whether you're an educator, caregiver, parent, or an adult who's being bullied.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to be here today. Really interesting to sit down and talk with you, Barbara, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right. Again, tonight, 7 o'clock at the Calvary Community Church. You can pick up a copy of this book while you're there. It's going to be about 2 hours. Some great insights for you if you attend this tonight. We're back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.